Hi guys, hello, another video for my Plex pals and my family as well. I want to clear up this remote watch pass confusion. So I'll give you some links to click on. You can read stuff that's on the screen in detail at your leisure, but we should be able to clear up the confusion just chatting through the video. Now what's happened, if you've watched content remotely from a Plex media server, whether it was movies, TV shows, whatever it was, your Plex account was flagged to get this automated email that's been going on about the remote watch pass. And my family have been getting the email, they've read it, and they're like, I think I understand it, but it's your server we're watching from. I just want to check with you, have you got the Plex pass? Do I need it? Do I need a remote pass? What's going on? So to my family, carry on, life is normal, nothing more to pay for, it will continue to be free. You don't need the Plex pass, you don't need a remote pass. Why? Because I have a lifetime Plex pass. I paid for that quite some time ago. You are all covered under that to access my server. What has changed for us is they're now doing this new user interface, this new app, and by changing, they're also getting rid of that one-time activation fee, which did catch some of my family out. Now, there were ways around it. I had Plex pass, whoever I invited into my Plex home, so I invited my mum, my immediate family. On her phone, she didn't need to pay that one-time activation fee. My extended family weren't in my Plex home, and they got confused. They said, well, I've installed the app, I'm trying to play it, but after a minute it cuts out. I was like, I know. It's a test, a trial. If you think it works and it's something you'd like to use, you've got to pay this one-time activation fee, £5, whatever it was. So I had some family go, oh, okay, that's kind of cool, but I don't think I'll use it very often. I'm not going to pay for that. Other members of the family said, well, I'm commuting 5 days a week, backwards and forwards from work on the train. That would make a massive difference, make it actually bearable. I pay more than £5 for a coffee. I can do that. £5 for the app is fine. And they've enjoyed that content on the go. Now, people that have paid that activation fee, but it's not required anymore, what they're doing, if you do need a remote pass, they're extending the free trial for people they know that have paid that activation fee. I don't know how many people that's going to help, but it is something they're doing. But for my family, as I say, you're all covered for free under my Plex pass. You can download this app and use it as you'd expect to do Plex on the go. What you've got to be wary of is how are you streaming the content? Are you doing it over your Wi-Fi, or are you doing it off your cellular data, your mobile data? Now, even if you go out in your garden, you think you're using your Wi-Fi at home, you could lose that signal when your phone defaults over to cellular mobile data and it starts eating away at your allowance, because people have different tariffs. Maybe they pay more for unlimited data, maybe it's 10, 20, 30 gigabyte data, maybe you're allowed 20 gig roaming around Europe, but no more than that. So you really do need to be aware of how much data Plex is going to be using. So what we can do in the app, in the top right hand corner where it's got that icon, we can tap that. We can do settings and do video and audio, and we can limit the quality. So local quality is what's locally stored on the device. Wi-Fi quality, we can set that to maximum as well, because that's fine, it's just using our home connection. But it's the cellular quality, we can start limiting that to save on data. So for 3 megabits per second, 720p quality, it's 0.8 hours per gigabyte. We're not even getting an hour per gig. If we drop it down to 2 megabits per second, 720p quality, we'll get 1.2 hours per gigabyte. If we drop down to 480p, 1.5 megabits per second, we're getting 1.6 hours. So 1.5 hours basically per gigabyte. If you go any lower than that, 320p, 240p, that's potato quality. It's not going to be enjoyable to watch. I certainly wouldn't go any lower than 480. But remember, on these smaller screens, lowering the quality doesn't impact your enjoyment of it as much as if it was a much larger screen. But I would say 2 megabits per second, 720p for cellular quality is probably a good place to start. Right, so it's not just my family that uses Plex. I've got quite a few friends that have used it because of me and seen my setup. So they've gone, oh, okay, yeah, we've got this laptop or this old PC that's gathering dust. We haven't used it for ages. Let's repurpose that to be a Plex media server. They backed up their music CDs, they backed up their DVDs, their Blu-rays, to basically have their own streaming service of their own that they run from home. So what's going to happen for my friends that have done that? Many of them didn't pay for a Plex pass. Well, actually, many of them, they won't have to pay anything at all. Life will continue on as normal. Why is this? Because they watch stuff locally at home. They don't watch videos remotely when they're away from home. The idea was that they backed up those discs to keep them safe. They're not coming out of their boxes to get scratched. They can go somewhere nice and dry, try and prevent disc rot. They don't have to keep getting up the sofa to change discs. It's more convenient for them. If it's a box set of movies, they don't have to change discs. As I say, they just watch it locally at home. They don't watch it away from home. So they're fine. It will all be free. Some of my friends, although they watch their videos at home, they do want to listen to their music remotely away. So when they're driving in their car, whether it's Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, through the Plex app. Now, there is a little bit of confusion over this, but Plex will continue to work. You don't need to pay for a Plex pass. You can still get this free. So you can see Android Auto and CarPlay, Chromecast and AirPlay, all these features on the left, unlimited streaming, that's all absolutely free. Over to the right, if you have a Plex pass, there are some bonus features to Plex if you have it. So we've got the downloads and we've got the lyrics. So if you want to do car karaoke and have the lyrics so you can sing along, that's a Plex pass feature. But strictly speaking, you're going to get some utilization absolutely for free. Now, there will be a percentage of my friends that have set up a server and they don't watch it remotely. I know someone who invited their family and none of them took up the offer to watch the stuff remotely, but they might change their mind. So this is where it comes in, that those people will need to have the remote pass to access that content. So you can see it can be £2 a month. Some people might say, well, I'm only going to do it in the winter months when it's miserable outside and it gets dark early. We don't need it all year round, maybe 2-3 months of the year. They can do it monthly. They can do it yearly at £20. Some people think that's quite a lot, but for a year, I mean, that's not too bad. Let's put it in perspective. If you're going to rent films from the Apple store or the Amazon or the Google store, that could be £5-6 per film. Buying them is more expensive on those stores. Never buy them because you don't actually own them. They can take them away, access to them at any time in the terms and conditions. But certainly just renting at £5-6, you could spend more than that through the course of the year. Some people do actually rent films. So I'd rather just pay, £20 a year to have access remotely to family members' server. But you've got to just keep in mind how many of you are accessing this stuff from a server. If there's 10 of you, what's the point of you all paying £20 a year? Because that's actually more than the lifetime Plex pass. You might as well just all chip in together. Whoever owns the server can have the lifetime Plex pass. So it's really up to you. Those that want to do the remote pass to access it. So my friend is the other side of the world. I know he doesn't have a Plex pass, but I can still watch stuff on his server because I have the Plex pass. So the remote pass is one down. I've got the Plex pass, which allows the remote streaming plus all the other Brucey bonuses. I invite them into my server because I have the Plex pass. They're able to watch what's on my server. So just because they don't have the Plex pass, it doesn't matter. They can watch their stuff at home locally for free. They can watch my stuff and I can watch their stuff. Hopefully that all makes sense. It's all of these extra Brucey bonuses, these extra features that come with a Plex pass that you've got to weigh up. So when I did it, I think it was supposed to be £90 for lifetime. And I thought, that's quite expensive. Do I need all of these features? And they did a 20% off sale for Black Friday, whatever it was. It was years ago now that I did it. I thought, well, let's just get it, one and done, and I'll forget about it. My family will enjoy these features and we'll just, get on with our lives. So there's the skip intro and credits. If you're going to watch a lot of TV shows back to back to back, you might love the theme song to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. When you hear it 15 times in a row in a day, that can be a bit much. So it's nice to be able to skip past the intro and skip past credits. All I would say is don't do the automatic setting, do it manually. It'll give you a little icon on the screen that you can just tap the remote to skip, but sometimes it doesn't figure it out correctly. So if it's on automatic, you could miss parts at the ending of your show which it thinks are going into the credits. So sometimes it mistakes music being played as the credits coming up or what have you. It's just better practice to do it manually. It's not much effort to press a button. We have talked about Plex amp a little bit for those people that want to listen to music. We've got some extra features there with the Plex Pass. The power to download, so if you're going on holiday, you're on a flight, they quite often stop you being able to access your mobile data, so we could have some content on a tablet ready to watch in the flight. Some people have said in the past that didn't work particularly well. I don't know, I've never really bothered downloading anything through Plex onto my phone, because I mean I own the files anyway. I don't need Plex to download it. I can just copy the files that I own myself. What I was interested in was the Ultimate TV and DVR, because I do have a HD home run TV tuner on my network. So quad tuner, 4 devices can watch a channel each, or if nobody's watching TV, that's 4 channels that can be recorded. And that's what I was really interested in, the recording, the DVR part. My mum does watch a lot of terrestrial television, but it tends to be like quiz shows, and she'll channel hop at the adverts. So watches a show, adverts start, over to the next channel, whatever quiz is on, that goes to adverts, skips to another channel. I was like, let's just stop that. Let's just pick what you enjoy watching in the TV guide and record it. And then when it's recorded, Plex can detect those adverts and it can either delete them automatically, or we can set it up that you manually skip ahead through them. So she's always got something that she wants to watch that she's interested on. And then when it's been watched, that gets deleted off the server. She doesn't need to watch it again. And that's freed up space for the next day's recordings. So it talks about the hardware transcoding. This is where it makes a lot of sense for whoever owns the server to actually have a Plex pass, because they're providing this content to people that are remotely away, and you're now reliant on what your internet can do. So here in the UK, what we can download, they make a big song and dance about, but they don't really tend to mention in the headlines how much we can upload, send out. So you might have 150 megabits down, but you might only be able to do 20 or 30 megabits up. So if someone wants to watch a 4K film you've got remotely, they could be using up all of your upload speed. So transcoding is lowering quality. Someone might want to watch a film that I've got in 4K, but I've set it up that they can watch it no more than 1080p. It gets transcoded down. Maybe someone's trying to watch it on their phone and they're trying to save the amount of data that they use, so they don't want to watch it in 1080p, they want it in 480p. So my server has to transcode the quality, drop it down to 480p for them. So yeah, genuine reasons to have hardware transcoding. Everyone's going to have a slightly different server with different equipment, but I know my graphics card, my NVIDIA graphics card, can have multiple, maybe 10, 16 simultaneous streams transcoded, because it's done through that hardware. Whereas if I didn't have the Plex Pass, it would be done through software transcoding. It can't use the GPU, the graphics card, it's got to use the CPU, and I might only be able to do a couple of streams. It would depend. Everyone has different server, different equipment. So hardware transcoding, we don't really want to transcode. Ideally, we want a direct stream, direct play, but there are instances where transcoding is helpful, and if we can do it through hardware, it's more efficient and works much better. So yeah, the sound about the remote stream media remotely from any server you have, that's obviously what was free before. Now you either have to have the remote pass or the Plex Pass. So they talk about the suite of software. So we've got Plex Amp, we've already mentioned about that for music. Plex Dash is really useful for who has the server. So when my friends go, oh, I've really enjoyed those prequels to Yellowstone, 1923, 1883. I think, yeah, I know what you're watching, but I don't tell them because I think I'm some kind of weird stalker. But this Plex Dash gives me statistics. I know what people have watched, how much they've watched, what's going on with my server. I can see it in real time, so I'll know if it's a direct play or whether my server's having to transcode it for them. So yeah, it's just useful information. I like to know what's going on with my server. So as we get to the bottom, we see the different payment plans from free, the remote pass to the Plex Pass, what we get, and you can expand it out for playback, what's covered for what. So I will leave you to read through all of that at your leisure. Hopefully just by me talking to you, we've covered up a lot of the confusion. But really, the big news for Plex for 2025, the changes is the difference in price of the Plex Pass, because it has more than doubled in price. So as I say, it makes sense for families to try and band together and give the media server owner the ability to buy the lifetime Plex Pass. There'll be people that bought it way back when, long before I had it, and they paid far less than me. There's people that are going to have paid more than me for the Plex Pass, but it is what it is. There are people out there that would have been supporting Plex either monthly or yearly. They paid it. They didn't do lifetime on purpose. They liked Plex. They wanted it to continue going, and they wanted to support the developers. And they might actually feel a little betrayed now. They didn't know this change was coming, and they've seen these massive price hikes. So rather than go on Reddit and rant, maybe message Plex customer support and say, look, you can see I've been giving you money for months, years. I didn't know this change was coming. Is there any way I can get a lifetime pass, the original price, or some kind of discount to help me continue? There's quite a few people out there saying they want to leave Plex and they're going to do MB or Jellyfin, these free alternatives. Of course, they're free to do that. The reason I use Plex, I'm a tech guy. I can do MB, I can do Jellyfin, but I don't want to do the IT support for the rest of my family. Largely, Plex has been pretty problem-free for my non-tech savvy family to get it up and working. I'm in charge of the server and the content on it. They've been invited through an email, and the rest was on them, and they've got it working with very, very little trouble at all. So yeah, I am a fan of Plex, but I can understand why some people will be a little bit miffed with these changes for 2025. So let's leave it there, guys. Have a great day, have a great evening, whatever it is you choose to do after watching this, and as always, I'll see you when I see you next. Ciao for now.